Hello everyone, Kent.Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org. Well, we're going to continue with our podcasts. I'm getting to where I really like in this kind of thing. I'm enjoying it. I was looking for a hobby. I found a hobby with working with kidney patients, and now I'm podcasting with kidney patients, and dadgum, it's lots of fun. I want to start with prayer today. I always do that, as you know, and that won't end, so you got to get used to it. Hopefully I can share some things with you later on. We're going to talk to another really good friend of mine. Dearest Lord, I want to take the time to thank you for all you've given us. The shadow is not upon us. All the good things that you've done, all the important things that you put us into, but most of all, we want to ask you to look out for all these folks that have kidney disease. They're in need, and search out each one of those individuals and see if you can cover it. We ask it in your name, amen. Well, today is a good day because I'm going to talk to one of my best friends in the kidney program, in the kidney world, and his name's James Myers. We call him Jim, Uncle Jim. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you about him is that he's the Richard K. Salick Award winner for advocacy from the National Kidney Foundation. That's a national award, and I know that he is proud of that award, and he should be for all the things that he does in the kidney world. And so I wanted to bring him on so you could hear somebody else but me talk. And actually, he's very, very knowledgeable. Now, I will warn you that when he gets excited, when he gets overcome with excitement about this kidney business, he tends to talk and he might get loud. But that's just Jim. Okay, Jim, how are you?
I'm good, Kent. How are you today?
I'm doing good. You're in Hammond, Indiana, and it's cold there. We're enjoying 70-degree weather today, so it's good to have you. You're an interesting character. I've known you for about 6 years now and been participating in a lot of events with you. But in order for my people out there that are listening in, thank goodness, would you kind of give me your story? Tell me your story.
Sure. I'm a 65-year-old man, and as you said, I live in Hammond, Indiana. I'm a kidney patient, a transplant patient, and a PKD patient. Polycystic kidney disease runs in my family. I've lost 5 members of my family to PKD, including my dad. I lost him in 1983. I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease at the age of 25, so I've been dealing with this since I was 25, so that's 40 years now. I was very fortunate because of my family history, I was diagnosed early on, and I began to consult with Indiana University Health in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the kidney doctors there, they put me on high blood pressure medication. They put me on a renal diet, and they looked after me. They checked on me every 6 months or so. Because of that, I was able to stay off of dialysis until I reached the age of 58. I was on dialysis for 4 years. I'll tell you this story because a lot of people don't know this. Every year you have a meeting with your pre-transplant doctor. And he goes over your test results that you take annually, and he lets you know kind of where you're at on the list. I mean, he doesn't give you a number, but he will tell you, I think it's going to be so long before you get your transplant. So I met with him in April of 2016, early on, like the 3rd or the 4th of April. And he told me, he said, you're doing great, but you're probably going to have to wait another year, maybe two. And, so I said, okay, that's the way that this goes. And on the 26th of April, I got a phone call from my pre-transplant coordinator. And she said to me, we have a kidney for you. And it's one of these times that your Uncle Jim said things that were inappropriate, because I said back to her, is this like a joke? I mean, you wouldn't kid your old Uncle Jim, right? And she said, no, Jim, we have it. We need you down here. We have a kidney for you. Can you get down here by tomorrow? And, when you're a candidate for a transplant, I mean, your bags are packed and, this is something you've been thinking about for a while. So, yeah, I got down there that afternoon, man. So, and was transplanted the next day. So that the year or two turned out to be a matter of a couple of weeks. So I was transplanted April 27th. I've been a transplant patient for 3.5 years now, and I'm looking forward to my 4th anniversary, April 27th of 2020. And that's my kidney story. I know you're going to ask, but I'll just throw this in real quick that, I'm a fairly active kidney advocate too.
Oh, yeah. I was transplanted April 30th, 1987.
No kidding.
How's that? So we only
I didn't realize that our anniversaries were that close day-wise.
Either. It shocked me. Just think of that, 3 days difference. Yeah.
2 days difference.
Yeah, that's great.
My kidney brother and I just dominating April, baby.
Yeah, right. It was a great month to be alive, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the baseball season starts and Kent and Jim had their transplants. Can't get any better than that.
Oh, can't get better than that. Okay, no. let me get you on track here.
Okay.
Since I've known you, you got the Salick Award, and I know just about everything there is about your track record in helping others with kidney disease, and it's marvelous. I mean, you've written articles on. I'm going to tell people this. You've written articles on preemptive transplant, which is near and dear to my heart. You've talked about the Immunosuppressive Act. You've written a blog. You've got a blog on NKF. I mean, and you do tons of other things that I don't even want to go into them. That's what I want you to talk about. So, tell me about your involvement in the national organizations, AAKP, NKF, and AKF.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Sure. Let's start with the AAKP first, because that's near and dear to our hearts. I was on dialysis and I was approached by my treating doctor, and he said, I want you to apply for this award with the Kidney Network out of Indianapolis, Region 10. And I want you to write an essay. And I think that if you do, you'll get this award. And I said, okay. So I did. And I was telling them that, I was on dialysis, that when I was on dialysis, CMS had threatened to cut monies to dialysis centers, to cut services, to cut personnel that was taking care of us. And, that was like shooting fish in a barrel because, when you look around the room, there's all these sick people. And in my dialysis center, people were coming in by ambulance. They were coming in, in wheelchairs. They were coming in walkers. I had 2 or 3 people that at that point that had passed away in the dialysis center when I was there. And I thought, these guys are cutting money to to people that really need it, and who's going to speak in their behalf? Who's going to fight back? And your Uncle Jim's an old trial lawyer, right? And
Yeah.
so I was kind of trained to be a fighter, and I thought to myself, I got to do this, because if I don't do this, maybe nobody in my center will. So I did write the essay, and I was fortunate enough to win that award. And part of the award was they sent you to the patient meeting for the AAKP,
Oh,
paid for
wow.
your, yeah. So,
That's how you got
so,
it. Okay.
so, the plane ride, the hotel, the food, all that stuff was covered. So, the first meeting that I went to was in Las Vegas. And your Uncle Jim, I'm blind and I'm deaf, so I sat up near the front, and I bought my yellow pads and my computer, and I was stunned, because there were so many people that were like me, and everything that they said and did was oriented toward kidney patients, and I thought, man, these are the guys for me. I want to be with these guys. I
Right.
love these guys, So
Yeah.
I made
What year
friends with,
was what year was that?
oh God, 2013,
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. That's
2013.
about right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that dates me a little bit, but I already told you I'm
Oh,
old, so I guess they figured that out. But um, so you
you're
know
not
me.
old enough yet.
I sat near the front. I'm taking all these notes and taking everything in, and taking pictures and putting it up on social media and shaking hands. And I finally met Paul Conway, and he made a real impression on me. And I thought, I don't know where I got a sign to join, but I'm joining up. So that's exactly what I did. And I've been very, very fortunate. As you know, I'm pretty active on social media, and I know you want to talk about that later, so I won't go into a lot of detail now. But because of that, I was fortunate enough to win the inaugural Education and Social Media Award from the American Association of Kidney Patients.
Wow.
So,
And wait,
that kind
Paul
of
Conway,
cemented my
what?
relationship with them.
Yeah, yeah. And Paul Conway, sorry for breaking in on you. No, I'm not. Anyway, Paul Conway, in his own rights, is a pretty big figure. He's a 25-year transplant, and his donor was, I believe, a deceased donor. And wow, I'm going to get him on. It's a great
Yeah, you
idea.
should.
I'm writing it down
You
next.
absolutely should.
Okay, go on.
Paul's
I'm
a
sorry.
remarkable individual. My experience with the NKF is, and I started advocating against the CMS uh, cuts. I put things up on social media. I prepared a petition on change.org. I would speak out whenever I was asked to speak. I wrote about it, as you said. I'm a pretty active writer. Um, and one of the things that I did to further my education was to join the local NKF in Indiana, and I would go to their walks, and I would speak at their walk. I still do to this day. They have a walk April, March. I always go. They always ask me to speak. I always speak. It's been a great experience with them. And as a result of that, they recommended me to the national. And at that time, it worked a little different than the way it does now. It was a one take Jake then. In other words, you would go to but they didn't call it a summit then. You would go to their meeting, and
Yep.
they would prepare you to go up on the hill. You would do your bird calls with your representative and your two senators, and that was it. You did it one time, and
Got it.
that was it. So
Yep. Yep.
I had Troy Zimmerman, I had Aaron Kale. We were in a little room with 2 card tables that were L-shaped, and maybe about 12 of us all together, including the instructors. And, they were telling us how to advocate and what to say. And that they're great teachers, the NKF. They give you great focus. And, you learned about what to talk about and how to split it up between the members of your group, and what to emphasize, and what you're leaving behind. And the thing, because if you've got a legislator where you have a common experience, like they're a transplant patient, or their mother's a kidney patient, or their wife or their children have issues, you want to kind of figure that out if you can. And the idea is that you want to be their kidney person. I don't want to distinguish between male and female, but you want to be their kidney person, their trusted person, the person that writes to you and keeps you updated, and shows up 2-3 times a year, and always lets you know what's going on. Because if you have a question about kidney issues, you want them to contact you and to speak to you. And through your education, through the AAKP and the NKF, for example, you can answer their questions. So they finally figured out that one take Jake doesn't work to fix that.
Right.
One take Jake doesn't work. You need to have consistent contact. So, I've been with them the last decade as well. And we've done some fairly cool stuff. I think the one thing that I'm the proudest of is they have a kidney camp for children near Indianapolis, and the NKF had this singing star from one of those talent shows, right? Yeah. And the kids all love this young woman because she's close to their age, and she's like Shirley Temple, right? She kind of sparkles when she walks and talks around, and that kind of stuff. And I actually, working through Andrew and Margie with the NKF of Indiana, managed to convince her to do a video to show to the kids. And we gave her a list of the kids' names so that she would call them by name, right? Yeah. Like she was actually speaking to them. So it was about the coolest thing that I've ever done with them. I was really kind of pleased about that. And so that was my experience with the NKF. Now with the AAKP, as you know, I'm an ambassador. I keep saying and I know you don't like that, but I'm an ambassador with the state of Indiana with them, and I'm on their board of directors. And you and I have been very fortunate to have started or to be a part of a couple of initiatives with them that I'm kind of proud of too. I started an initiative for pediatric kidney patients as a result of my experiences with the kids at Riley's Children, and doing this kidney camp with the local NKF kids here in Indiana, because I thought that they were an overlooked group that was getting larger, and that we have to make an investment in our children for the future. And that has gone over real well. We've done about 4 webinars. We do a newsletter every other month. I help them supply content, and they get my advice on editing. We brought in some other advocates like our friend Austin and our buddy Ed, Why Not Drake, that go around and they drop presents off at Christmas, and Ed pushes his foundation, and so it's been all good. It's really launched off the ground and is extremely popular. So I'm very, very pleased about that. And the other thing,
do tremendous work. The AAKP, they got a lot of. Now I've been to wreck your train of thought here and show them how old you are.
Yeah.
The AAKP It was started in 1969, and it was started by a bunch of kidney patients.
Old
And they
kidney
have been
patients, by the way.
absolutely, yeah. And so this has progressed to where they've done a lot of representing of the kidney patients, and they're very influential in getting a lot of this kidney stuff going for the kidney patients nationally. And I mean,
Right.
research dollars and the people in there like Richard Knight and Conway and Kale and Diana,
Clients.
they're all in there. Yeah, clients, and I'm going to tell you what. You want to join an organization, that's the organization you want to be in. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get lost in the shuffle there. You're
Yeah.
part of
The
the
largest
program.
and oldest kidney patient organization in the United States, exclusively run by kidney patients and oriented 110% toward the interest of the patient. I love being a part of that.
I do too. That,
I
and
love
it's
being
made
a part
me
of it.
feel so much more involved. And there's a lot of presence there. I mean, people that come, they're knowledgeable and they're all fired up to make this work.
Yeah,
Research dollars, all this kind of stuff come flowing right out of them. And Paul Conway and Richard Knight are up on the hill. They're up
all
there
the time.
working constantly.
All the time.
All right. And guess what? It's volunteer.
This latest initiative from President Trump that comes through his
Yes.
secretary was largely influenced by Rich and Paul. So
That's right.
that's the kind of organization that is very good, because there are many things that they are doing that through that initiative that are going to be beneficial to all of us as kidney patients. And I'm very proud of it.
It's free. They don't charge
Yeah,
you
that's
you can be a family member in this organization for nothing.
right.
And you get
And
publications, you get
you get
information,
publications,
and
you get updates all the time. You get invited to major events. And of course, unlike a lot of other organizations, their national patient meeting is open to the public. I mean, you don't have to be, a super advocate for them to get invited.
Nope.
They invite everybody. And
Exactly.
it's a very cool experience. I want to talk about one more initiative real quick, Kent.
Thank you. I was
Before
going to
you
bring you back
get
to
me
that.
off track. Veterans. Let's talk about vets. There's another large group of kidney patients that have basically been put in the back corner, ignored, not spoken of, not really looked after the way that they should be, not recognized. And that has stopped because of the American Association of Kidney Patients. And one very fine friend of mine, Kent.Bressler, is a big part of that. I'm a big part of that. Our buddy Ed is a big part of that. Ed's on the executive board, so he's one of the four that makes all the decisions. And I'm very, very pleased that the way that is going. That we have a website up on Facebook, and we post information there all the time about veterans who are kidney patients. So it's been
and we're registering. And we're registering them.
Starting a registry.
Actually, we've got a registry of kidney patients in the VA system so we can provide some support for them. Ed works at a national level up there with the VSOs, the Veteran Service Officers. I mean, It's a good program. It's growing. It'll get better. It'll get better, get bigger.
And you and I have had influence because we've had several new AAKP members, several new AAKP ambassadors that are veterans. My friend Candy comes to mind. Our friend Jen comes to mind.
Yeah.
So it's just been a great experience. I'm so happy to be a part of that. So happy to be a part of that. Now with the AKF, with the American Kidney Fund, that was a little different. I was with a group, the Dialysis Patient Citizens. And I'm still a member. The Harant, Jockman, and he runs. And I was at one of their meetings, and they had an awards event, and a fancy smancy kind of stuff. I had to put on a tie and all that nonsense.
Oh my! Oh,
and so we're in this big ballroom in Washington, D.C., and I ran into this woman there, Laverne Burton, who runs the AKF, and she was talking to me about contributions that they make to patients so they can maintain their insurance, charitable premium assistance. And this was back in
yep.
2012. And it seemed like every time that they had a meeting that I was eligible to come to, it was being held at the same time that the NKF was holding their meeting, their summit. And we just couldn't get the schedule together. And finally, one year, I heard from them. The NKF's meeting ran like first, second, third of March, and the AKF, or the American Kidney Fund's meeting started like immediately the day after. So there were a group of us from the NKF that had been waiting to be a part of that meeting. So those guys, myself, Patrick G., for example, was another guy. We just went from one meeting to the other. We saved them the airfare because we were already there, So we just went from one meeting to another. And I've had some wonderful experiences with them, and to advocate for people to maintain their insurance, whether it's from work or another source, as opposed to just solely going on Medicare because that's their choice. I think it should be the patient's choice. That the patient should get their opportunity to choose. And I'm very excited that they gave me this opportunity. And when President Trump gave his little talk about the initiatives that he was starting with his
the executive order.
They were kind enough to invite me, and I got a chance to go and hang out with them, and God, I learned an awful lot over those couple of days. And we did a little tour of Washington and took all kinds of pictures, and it's just been a great experience, and I have great respect for that organization. And I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to work with them. It's been fun, and like I said, I've learned a lot. So,
well, I got my start, as you know, with NKF, and then kind of graduated over and worked with the AKP. I've not really had that much to do with AKF, but I do want to get involved a little bit more. But I can tell you, when you go in, put into cahoots with these two organizations or three, you're going to work.
Oh yeah.
And that's what you should do. That's what you should do. You should be constantly, you should be aware that you're going to go to work. You're doing a great job here. What I want to ask you, I'm going to ask you one more question here.
Sure.
What you're doing today, in the not so much what your whole function is to impact the kidney world. You're so embedded within the kidney community. What is it that you're doing? Give me an overview so that people can get an idea what you're doing.
Okay, there are two or three things recently that we probably should discuss. First of all, I'm very, very active on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. At one point in time, I had 72 kidney pages to help people locate a donor, and I ran 72 kidney groups. And on Facebook, I was very active. On Twitter, I still am. I'm active on Instagram. I actively look for news stories that I share, particularly at night. I use Google Alerts, and you can punch in certain questions in Google Alerts for stories that you're looking for. Primarily, I look for anything that has to do with kidney disease. I particularly enjoy reporting stories about kidney transplants and children, and positive stories that I try to use to inspire other people, to uplift other people. So I've been doing quite a bit of that. I've been writing blogs for the Hope. I've done a couple on the Living Donor Protection Act, for example, and I've got one in the works on the immunosuppression bill that's being kicked around pretty good lately. You know, they had a
Yeah,
congressional hearing yesterday
yeah, we
uh,
talked about that. Yeah.
where the NKF doctor went and
Cooper.
testified.
Yeah,
So,
Dr.
yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it was
And
great.
and the head of the committee said, you know, this is a no-brainer. This one should pass. This one should float. So, very, very pleased about that. One of the other things that I've been doing lately, there's a group called Get Loud for Kidneys. And one of the things that they started was an exercise program or exercise challenges for kidney patients. And I talked to my doctor about that. And one of the things that I can do reasonably safely is walking. And so I started walking and promoting the idea that, you know, please share somebody's kidney page, please share somebody's request for a kidney transplant on social media today. And every time you guys do that, I'll go for a walk. Well, it started out, it was a half mile, and then it was a mile, and then it was a couple miles. And I think my record now is 12 miles that I did for the AAKP's fun walk in December. And yesterday I actually took close to 12,000 steps and almost 6 miles uh, to walk to raise awareness for the immunosuppression bill that's currently pending in the House, to try to get people to share the link that NKF put up to write your congressman and your
Yep,
senator,
yep.
and try to make them aware that such a bill exists, and that they should co-sponsor and support the bill, publicize the bill. So the walking thing has worked out real well for me in a couple of ways. One, people really seem to like it. They It's like the further I walk, and the happier they are, and it does get around pretty good. People share that, and they discuss it. So I've been very, very pleased about that, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Ashley Somix, who is the head of Get Loud for Kidneys, and she does a great job. And I constantly remind people that we've lost some very valuable people. It's part of the reason that I walk. My good friend Bill Murray, probably the best advocate in America at the time. My good friend Bill Hahn, who started an event down in
Huge,
Florida that,
huge.
that that went from a half a day to a 2-dayer thing, and you name the groups: kidney moms, children, surfers, swimmers. You know, they're all involved in his event to this day. And I always give a shout out for someone that's looking for a kidney or a transplant. We have a friend, Melissa Tuff, that is working on a second transplant, which, you know, Kent, can be very difficult because of the
Yeah,
antibodies and the antigens that come from
yep,
the
yep.
first transplant. So I've been trying to help Mel out a little bit, and just wanted to say publicly, I wish you well, Melissa, and I hope that you find your kidney very, very soon.
Yeah, me too, Melissa. Jim, all of these things I'm just gonna be straight up honest because I can do this. You don't get paid for this. This is not something that somebody writing you a check for. NKF doesn't, AAKP doesn't, AKF doesn't, Congress doesn't, I don't. Jason, nobody gives you anything for what you're doing. Now that's a pure advocate right there. Someone someone who gives of themselves constantly, and I mean constantly. Get on the Facebook, friend James Myers or Jim Myers. I think it's Jim, right?
Jim Myers under the new
Jim
profile.
Myers.
Yeah.
And you want an education. You're going to get an education, but guess what? It doesn't cost you a cent. And this guy is all in. He's an advocate extraordinaire. And I'm telling you what, you learn a lot. You learn it every day from this man. He's going to find it, collect it, put it up. And I'm very, very sure. I'm very sure that he would turn down quite a bit of stuff just to continue right where he's at. He's amazing man. Jim, thanks a lot for what you're doing.
Okay. Well, let me explain, Kent. No, I don't take money. I don't expect money for the things that I do. I'm an amateur. The Latin for amateur means I love it. The reason I do it is because I love doing it. You know, I feel like it's my purpose in life. It's what I was put here to do. It's what I was put here by God to do. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, buddy. You're something special, and I want everybody that happens to listen to this podcast to friend you on Facebook and get to know you even better. You're a great asset to the kidney community, and guess what? We love you. Stay
Thank
with
you.
it, buddy. You stay with it, and I appreciate you coming on with me. We'll have you back. We're going to have a bunch.
We're happy to come back anytime. You know that. And
Okay.
and besides that, Kent, I used to be a notary public, so.
Yeah, really. This whole process, this whole kidney process, having it sucks. You just make it easier having it, and you make it an opportunity to find things that work. You always explode on Facebook, explode on everything you do, all your blogs, all the things that you do are beneficial, but number one, they come from your heart. And I thank you. Okay, the rest of you, keep breathing.